The Rhino said it would never happen. Georgia would never take money from the Biden White House for red flag gun seizures. They were wrong. The first check for millions of dollars to enforce red flags here in Georgia, it's just arrived. Watch this video, guys, and join the fight. Hey, guys, Aaron Dorr here with Georgia Gun Owners. Last summer, when dozens of rhinos in the Senate joined Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein and the rest of them and voted yes on S-2938, which gave Joe Biden $750 million to use to bribe states like Georgia into passing red flag laws, we warned that that money would find its way back here to Georgia. We weren't sure how, we weren't sure how much, we weren't sure when, but we said that the idea of free money is too tantalizing for states to not accept. And that's always been the hook the federal government uses on the states. They'll bribe them with our own money to get them to agree to restrict our rights with new public policy. In this case, red flag gun seizures. Well, guys, I wish we were wrong, but we were right. And we just found out that Georgia has received $7.5 million from the Biden White House for the purpose of enforcing red flag gun seizures. Guys, if you're low on time, whatever else you do, hit the link above or below this broadcast and sign your petition and make your voice heard so your state senator and state rep know that you are 100% opposed to any form of red flag gun seizures. If you've got time for details, guys, we've got plenty of details. First, the money. How much? The exact amount that Georgia received was $7,488,436 from the Biden White House. We received it through a grant which the state of Georgia applied for from the Byrne State Crisis Intervention Program. You can Google it yourself and look it up. Now, other states, when they applied for this money, in the application, told Joe Biden, we do not have red flag gun seizures. We are not going to pass red flag gun seizures. So if that is the condition upon which we're going to receive this money, don't give it to us. But Georgia didn't say that. Georgia did not say that. And what Joe Biden's doing with this money is very simple. His goal here is obvious. He wants to get lawmakers and the bureaucrats that run state government hooked on that free money. Because after all, $7.5 million, yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a drop in the bucket. It's 1% of the $750 million that Biden has in this account. And so this is the down payment. And if our legislature were to pass any form of red flag gun seizures, they would receive tens of millions more on top of that. Because Biden wants momentum right now above all things. Get any red state to move red flag gun seizures. They can do it in other states that are contiguous to us or across the country. Now, if you're not sure what a red flag law is, I'll give you a very quick summary. Basically, it says that anybody who doesn't like you, maybe it's a ex-spouse, maybe it's a liberal neighbor, maybe it's a liberal aunt who lives in commie New York State who simply doesn't like you, who haven't seen her in 20 years, they could call into the authorities and say, I think that John, my nephew, my ex-husband, my neighbor, whatever, I think he's dangerous. He doesn't like Joe Biden. He posts against him on social media all the time, and he has a bunch of guns. Doesn't that sound like every single one of your friends? It sounds like all of my friends. And they could say, so he should be red flagged. And when that complaint is made, a liberal judge, and there are no conservative judges left except for the Supreme Court, let's just be honest, a liberal judge will take that allegation and they will conduct a hearing. And that hearing will be done ex parte. What that means is in your absence. So you're not there. So you're at work as some liberal judge is considering evidence brought against you by a personal enemy, and you can't even be there to contest it. And if the judge agrees, and they always agree, they'll order the seizure of your firearms before you've been convicted of a crime in a court of law. See, that's why the left loves red flags so much. It doesn't go after a certain kind of firearm like an AR-15. It's not about an accessory, a pistol brace, 30-round magazine. If you're red flagged, every single firearm you own, every round of ammo in your possession will be confiscated by force by the government. And again, without the burden of you being arrested, charged, indicted, or convicted of anything. It is gun control through a bureaucratic process. It is the radical left's ultimate dream for gun control here in Georgia. That's what a red flag law is. Now, we have a core group of senators and state reps who would never vote for a red flag law no matter what. Biden could do a check for $100 million. They would vote no every time because they are men and women of principle. But they are in the minority. They are in the super minority right now. And our leadership in both chambers, House and Senate, are not in that group. And it would be very easy for them to grab a group of the rhinos, and we have many of them in Atlanta right now, and some Democrats who would love to get on board this bill and get the votes they need to pass it. You might say to yourself, that's never going to happen. This is Georgia. I would point you to Florida. Floridians said the same thing for years, and in 2018, they ate those words, and they now have red flag laws in Florida. And that was done without Joe Biden waving a check for $20, $30, $40 million in the face of their state legislature. This is a very, very real threat. And here's the way this would work. Here's how they do it. They're not stupid. The rhinos are not stupid. They would say, you know what? We've listened to the concern of gun owners. And we agree. Ex parte hearings, those are bad. We're going to pull the bad sections out of red flag laws, and we're going to pass a good version of red flags. This is the approach the NRA has adopted. As long as there is no ex parte hearing in the red flag law, they consider it to be good. And we call that utter BS because this is America. And we believe in the idea that we are innocent until proven guilty. And a red flag law goes the exact opposite direction. You are presumed guilty until you can somehow come back into court later, 6 months later, 9 months later, 12 months later, and prove your innocence. It destroys the idea of innocent until proven guilty. And what's ironic about this is that as we are fighting to stop red flags here in Georgia, and again, hit your petition. The link is below or above this video. Make your voice heard. As we're fighting to stop these right now, the courts, after Bruin from the Supreme Court last year came out, the courts are going the opposite direction. For example, recently in the Third Circuit Court of Appeals in Pennsylvania, they heard a case of a man who pled guilty or was convicted, I'm not sure which it was, to a felony crime of welfare fraud back in the 90s. This guy lied on his food stamp application, and he received money he shouldn't have received, and he was declared a prohibited person because the jail sentence was 5 years. He only had probation, but as we all know, if the sentence is over 1 year, that is a prohibited person for purposes of your federal gun purchase process. And so the court heard an appeal from this gun owner. And he said, after Bruin, you have to show how this idea of a non-violent felony conviction would have been upheld in our nation's historical precedent. And the court said, we can't. And they said, you can have your guns back. And so the Third Circuit is saying the only way a gun owner can be disarmed is for a violent felony conviction. But here in Georgia, with this red flag law, we're not talking about having a misdemeanor conviction. We're not talking about a felony conviction. Red flag laws require no conviction. No conviction. It's anathema. It is un-American. It is disgusting stuff. And so there cannot be any version of red flag laws that we are okay with. And now it's critical that you make your voice heard right now so your state senator and state rep know where you stand on this issue. Again, for the last time, guys, hit the link above or below and make sure you sign your petition and make your voice heard, guys. If you have not done so, get involved in the fight for freedom here in Georgia. Go to joingggo.com. In the meantime, share our broadcast, tell your friends, tell your family. We'll keep you guys informed. Stay free.